Stop preparing, start doing. This message is specifically for you if you're someone that's always planning, maybe always refining your plan or coming up with new plans, but you don't seem to make any progress. Or perhaps you're looking back right now at the time that you're realizing that you've wasted. You know, a 60-year-old billionaire, I believe he was about 60, early 60s, was once asked, "What would you trade for all of your wealth?" And he didn't even hesitate. He said, "I would trade all of my money to be young again, to be 25. So according to this man, this billionaire, what is the greatest form of wealth? Well, to him, it was time. And to most people, if they really think about it, it is time. Because the thing about time is that time gives us an almost godlike power over our own lives in the sense that we can do with that time whatever we want. We can build and construct our lives however we want. We can spend our time traveling or with friends, with loved ones, on business ventures, learning new things, learning new hobbies, whatever it is, however we want. If you don't stop over-preparing and start executing, you risk wasting years of your life and looking back and realizing, man, 3 years just went by, what happened? And you may think to yourself, I remember thinking 3 years ago, at the beginning of 2025, I kind of made some New Year's resolutions. This may be you thinking to yourself in 3 years from now is what I'm saying. And I had these plans and I had this vision. And here it is, and now it's 2028. It's spring of 2028. And I'm in the same place I was. Why didn't I just do X, Y, and Z if I would have just done that once a week for the past 3 years? Wow, where would I be now? Well, I know where I'd be now. I'd be where I wanted to be. I would have achieved that vision. I might have achieved it in 1 or 2 years, but I didn't because I didn't take action. I kept refining the plan. I kept changing the plan. I kept doing this and that, but I didn't start. Stop preparing, start doing. I know this because I've been there. A wake-up. I've got a story. It's kind of about a wake-up call I had when I first got out of college. I got a job in the investment business. I was a trainee to become a broker, an investment broker. And this was back in the 90s. I'm dating myself a little bit, but one of the first things you had to do besides becoming licensed to be able to sell securities is you had to get prospects, get clients actually, open accounts, get them to deposit money in the account so that you could have clients and a book of clients. This is what it was all about. So in order to get the clients back then, you cold called. And if you've ever seen the movie Wall Street with Bud Fox, played by Charlie Sheen, they call it smiling and dialing in the movie. That's what we had to do. We had to just call people on the phone during the day. And we tried to target wealthier neighborhoods, what we thought were wealthier areas with people that had money, obviously. And we had 3 months to meet our quota. We had to open 5 accounts within 3 months. And the accounts had to be a certain size. They couldn't be little rinky-dink $5,000 accounts. They had to be a certain size, and I don't remember the exact amount of money, but they had to be a certain size of money. And I said, I am going to be so prepared when I call these people. There's nothing they're going to be able to say that will, objection they'll be able to give that I won't be able to overcome. And I'm going to open all these accounts. I'm going to open 20 accounts. And I was reading these sales books and these prospecting books, and I'd read them over and over. And I had probably 5 or 6 different books. And I kept preparing because I wanted to be so prepared. And I had about 1 month left before the quota was over with, the quota deadline. And I was sitting there one morning at my desk with my face buried in a sales book, studying all these techniques, these sales techniques. And one of the senior brokers walked by the desk and he looked at me and he just said, "Hey." And I said, "Hey." And he said, "The time for reading is over with. It's sink or swim time." And then he just walked off with kind of a smile on his face, a knowing smile, because he had been there where I was. He was about 5 years older than me. And it's like a switch went off in my head. And I realized I wasn't doing the one thing to actually get clients, which was calling them on the phone and talking to them and asking them to do business with me. I was just preparing. I was over preparing. And that day, as soon as he said that, I put my book down, I went and poured myself a fresh cup of coffee, and I started calling. And that day I must have made about 100 dials, talked to some people, opened 0 accounts. But I vowed to myself to make at least 150 to 200 dials a day for the rest of the time there. And I did. And at the end of that time, I went from 0, I was still studying, I had 0 accounts. Went from 0 to 5 accounts. All of them had plenty enough money in them. I met my quota. I ended up being pretty successful in that job. All because I took action. Imperfect action though it was, I took it. And that's another thing. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to take action. As Henry Ford once said, "'Tis better to have tried and failed than to have failed to try." So imperfect action trumps no action 10 times out of 10. Planning feels easy, and kind of the psychology of why people will overplan, which planning is necessary. You have to have a plan. If you have a vision, if you want to be somewhere in life, you have to have a plan. And it's good to refine that plan and change that plan over time as you're taking action and you learn what works, what doesn't work. Yes, that's necessary. But there's a time for planning. And once that time is over with, it's time to pull the trigger and start moving each and every day, consistently. So planning is kind of, you're writing out your plan, you're changing your plan, you're sort of writing out, oh, this is where I'm going to be in the future. And again, that's good, but it's kind of fun to do that because you're creating this, but you're not really getting anything done. It's good and necessary, but it doesn't lead to growth. Execution of the plan, action on the plan, that's what leads to growth. A mindset that you can use to get yourself to start. If you're having trouble, if you've got a vision, if you've got a plan in place, maybe a plan you've even started taking action on, but you're not taking enough action, or maybe you're taking actions that are making you feel like you're accomplishing something, but they're not the hard actions you need to take. Robert Greene wrote the book Mastery, which is a great book. And in it, he talks about the people that become true masters, that is, accomplish their goals. They have to learn to and even embrace going through what he calls the tedium and the boredom of the tasks, because the tedium and the boredom is going to happen. If you want to be a mechanical engineer, you got to go to college, you got to study. You got to go through the tedium and boredom of studying and learning all that stuff and taking the tests and trying over and over. So I know a lot of what I'm saying is cliche, but it's cliche for a reason. Cliches are that way because they're eternal truths. That's why people repeat them so often. But a mindset that you can use is place yourself 3 years down the road from now, say 2028, say spring of 2028, or if you're listening to this at a later time, just 3 years from wherever you are. This video is being filmed in the beginning of 2025. And place yourself 3 years from now and place yourself as having achieved your vision, as having achieved your goal, and kind of look back. Maybe you're sitting in an office with 5 of your best friends who are your coworkers or your employees even, and you're the boss, you're the CEO of whatever kind of company it is, if that's one of your goals. Or 3 years from now, you're with the love of your life and you've just started a family. First kid's on the way. Whatever your goal is, starting a family, starting a business, you're there in 3 years. And you look back in your mind, because the mind is a powerful thing. The subconscious is a powerful thing. And if you can program the subconscious, the conscious mind doesn't know the difference. It will start to move things and move your actions and even move consequences, the consequences of your life, in your favor. And I'm not trying to get woo-woo and all mystical about it, but I believe this because I have seen this result in my life. What I just stated is repeated throughout the self-help and success literature, going all the way back to Dale Carnegie and Earl Nightingale and all those guys. And even as far back as ancient scripts like the Bible talk about this concept. Your subconscious mind will move you and will move the circumstances of your life. And you can begin that again. Place yourself in 3 years. You're there. You made it. And do the mind experiment as I am here 3 years later. Wow, look at all these things I did. I remember, construct these things in your mind that you did. You haven't done them yet, but that you did that lets you reach that 3-year goal. I did this. I overcame that. I approached all these people. I made these sales calls. I weeded through all the people necessary to get the partners in place to be where I am now. Whatever it is, it's a mind experiment. This is one way to give you the impetus to know that, wow, to really achieve this goal in 3 years or 4 or 5 years or whatever it is, those things really do need to be done. And I really do need to take action on them. Alternatively, place yourself 3 years down the road and you're right where you are. You haven't done anything. You're stagnant. Or you can just look at yourself now and look at the past 3 years. Perhaps you feel you've wasted the past 1 to 3 years or 5 years or longer. I hope you haven't, but perhaps you have. And just think about all the things you could have done. You can still do them. If you've got that plan, if you've had that vision in your mind a long time, it's not too late. The time is going to pass anyway. There's a great saying in jiu-jitsu. It says, 10 years is going to pass anyway. Might as well become a black belt. Meaning, hey, if I go to practice 2 or 3 nights a week, I'll probably be a black belt in 10 years. If I don't go 2 or 3 nights a week, I'm not going to be a black belt. Simple as that. Remember, momentum begets more momentum. You've got a vision. You've written your plan. Now get to work on it every day. Stop preparing, start doing.